Hey, friendo, Steve here, and welcome back to the Four Lights podcast. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Big Jeff. How you doing, Jeff?
Doing great, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm very happy. Last episode, we explored the world of Binus with the Binars and their holographic lady Minuet.
Yes.
This week, we got some really, really bad old man makeup. Kind of a goofy episode.
Yeah, was directed by our friend Rob Bowman.
Yeah, this is too short a season. It's not his fault that the old man makeup was just, it was very distracting.
I mean, that stuff, a lot of old people makeup still isn't that great, you know?
Yeah.
And it's almost 30 years later. It's like 30 years later at this point.
Yeah, did you watch True Detective Season 3?
No.
They do a pretty decent job with old person makeup on both Steven Dorff and...
To what extent is it digitally assisted, though? Because I think that helps a lot, right?
Oh, yeah, that could totally be. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. They weren't doing that back then.
I don't want to give shit to the makeup industry. Like, Benjamin Button obviously was great. I think that was at least partially digitally assisted. Yeah. But also is sort of akin to this episode, by the way.
So this is too short a season.
Correct.
It's about a Starfleet admiral who is
Mark Jameson.
He's looking for some retribution. Not retribution. He's looking for some
closure, maybe.
Closure. Some. What is it called?
Reliving a past glory.
Kind of thing, yeah. Well, he's trying to right a wrong.
Yeah.
He's trying to right a wrong from his past.
Sure.
Which is a decent concept.
Yeah.
I just think that it was the execution of it. There were some weird plot holes.
Yeah.
There were some things that just sort of didn't make a lot of sense. It was a bit on the goofy side. I think this is probably, in a nutshell, I would probably say it's kind of skippable.
I'd say skippable.
Yeah.
The things that I like about this episode.
This came on when Alabama was in the room and it auto played. And as soon as she saw the dude's face, she freaked out. She was like, "Oh, God." Yeah, the old man face. She was like, what is that guy? And she started laughing at him and freaked out. It's not really a reaction you want from a 4-year-old.
Well, it's the late 80s, so makeup is nowhere near as good as it is now, obviously.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, I get, like, it's an ambitious thing to have to try to take a character from being well in his 80s
and having a degenerative disease too. Like, they set that up in the episode.
You know what's funny though? If you think about it, one thing that I think they probably had to do for the context of the episode, he looks, and maybe it's because of the degenerative disease, maybe that's what makes sense about it.
Yeah.
Picard, if you look at like how old Picard's supposed to be at this point in his career, he's like mid-60s.
Yeah.
He just looks amazing. So this guy we're supposed to believe is like 20 years older than Picard. Mm-hmm. He looks 40 years older than Picard. This guy looks older than McCoy did in that first episode, and he said he was 137.
Yeah.
So the idea that this guy's like 80 some odd years old in the future when they can seemingly like slow down the aging process quite a bit.
Yeah, that's honestly, I think maybe, I mean, they had already set up in the context of the show that people can live well into their hundreds with McCoy.
Yeah.
They probably should have just made him older.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like if the point is, if this is somebody's first episode of Star Trek, you don't really want to confuse them by saying, "Oh, yeah, this guy's 140 years old," because it was played for a joke with McCoy. With this, it'd just be like, wait a second, how is this guy so old in the first place? That doesn't make any sense.
No.
But in any event, to like makeup wise, to bring a guy to be like super old and then to gradually bring him back down to like mid-30s or whatever, that's not easy. I would imagine that's just not easy.
Sure.
So you have to let go a little bit.
Sometimes you got to go hard to make a point too. Like, I think that the reason that the makeup is like that is because they did it more subtly. Then the gradations wouldn't be as dramatic.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but when the character is introduced, he does look like 180 years old. He's also, one of my favorite parts of the episode, and there weren't many, he's in like a wheelchair, but the wheelchair is cool as fuck, and it's very reminiscent of Professor X's, like from the comics, like that.
Like 3 years later when Jim Lee did it, I think it was Jim Lee. I don't know if Jim Lee originated the big sort of egg wheelchair.
Yeah.
I don't know if he originated that, but I remember it being a very Jim Lee type thing.
Yeah.
You know, maybe he had like, I don't know.
I thought I mean, I felt like that chair design was from the early to mid 80s during
was that like John Byrne?
John Byrne days.
Oh, okay. That could make sense. Okay.
I think.
All right. I don't want to give credit where it's not due. I just got into the X-Men like around Jim Lee.
Sure.
Because I was like, I like Batman. Anyways.
Nothing wrong with Batman.
So, yeah, kind of a skippable episode. But there was... Oh, no, you know what? I'll actually say this. So you mentioned that. That is a good moment. The very end, spoiler alert, the guy dies.
Yeah.
His interaction with his wife in the very end.
It's great. It's very touching.
I got kind of choked up over it.
So this actor, Clayton Rohner, the guy that plays the character, I think is great in the entire episode.
Yeah.
But that scene in particular is phenomenal.
Yeah, really. It's just great. He's hampered by that makeup, I think. But he is really good.
I always liked him anyway because I grew up rewatching a kind of shitty 80s teen comedy that he was in called Just One of the Guys. It was one of those things where if you
was that based off the movie? Wait, are you talking about the movie?
The movie, yeah.
He was in that?
He was in that, yeah.
Oh my God. He wasn't the main guy, was he?
He was like the love interest.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's a mind blower.
Honestly, like I haven't watched that movie in a couple years, but I watched it probably like 7 or 8 years ago. And it kind of held up. I mean, it's definitely a shitty teen 80s comedy, but it was still very enjoyable. Mm-hmm. So
I remember watching like the movie was on TV not that long ago. It might have been the last 3 years or so. And I think it was like towards the end, I was like, I remember being very shocked by the boob reveal at the end because it was like, that's kind of shocking. But it was the 80s, so like there's boobs everywhere.
Yeah.
But it was like such a lighthearted comedy, and then all of a sudden there's boobs.
Yeah.
And I still remember, like, I was like, man, that is a very effective scene right there. Like when and not just because there's boobs in it, but like the whole reveal of, hey, this is who I am as a person.
It's her identity, but it's also like it's inherently a very vulnerable thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Nudity
yeah,
is a very vulnerable thing. So she's like,
No, I like that.
It is.
I remember seeing it when I was a kid.
Movie.
Yeah. Anyways, so we'll just get into it though. The Enterprise is in orbit around Persephone 5. They are talking to this really old admiral about there's a plea for help in some sort of terrorist hostage situation. The terrorists want a Federation negotiator, and they want Admiral Jameson.
They're demanding Admiral Jameson specifically because he negotiated something a little over 4 decades prior, 45 years before, on the same planet.
Yeah. And so Picard and Riker go to the transporter room to welcome the Admiral aboard. He's in the big Professor X wheelchair. He kind of starts throwing his weight around. He's like, I'm in charge of the mission here. You are in charge of the ship, but I have all the say on the mission. We good with that? And Riker, who later on is known for his like great poker face, practically speaking, day to day has the worst poker face.
Yep.
Because he doesn't stand there stone faced. He like goes like this.
Yeah.
Looking at Picard like, oh dang, what are you gonna do?
Borderline does a spit take. Like you should have just had like a mug or something that's just been like,
what?
Like that kind of thing.
And Picard, of course, who shows us his dismay, holds it together and just says, of course, absolutely, I get it.
Because he's a goddamn admiral.
Yeah, right.
It's an admiral talking,
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, you don't
Chain
start...
of command, Riker. Like, have some professionalism.
Yeah. No, not about that. So let's see here. On the bridge, they're talking with Karnas. Is that his name? Karnas? Karnas. And he's on the planet, and... So he gives a spiel. He's like, there's terrorists, they're dissidents, they're holding hostages. They want Jameson here on the planet. That's the situation. Jameson's on the bridge, and they all start just sort of breaking down what's this guy's deal.
Yeah.
And Troy is like, yeah, the guy's kind of holding something back, and Jameson's like, yeah, I get the feeling he's holding something back. Something's going on with this, but I got to get down there. So they're just talking a lot. They're back in the ready room. He's speculating that the terrorists probably want some weapons or something. Crusher mentions that she needs to do a checkup on the Admiral, who is resistant to that. But Picard's like, no, it's fine. It's normal. It's cool. It's good. I'm sure it's good. Back in his own room, the Admiral and his wife are hanging out. He gets out of his wheelchair and hops in his own chair. And his wife is like, whoa, you haven't done that in forever. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then he starts to have what looks like a heart attack. He
has like an attack.
Yeah, he's like,
grabs his side. And it does look like a heart attack.
Oh. And she's like, oh, God, what's going on? And she's
understandably concerned.
Yeah, and he's like, no, it's all good. The doctor said it's going to, it's good. It's part of the treatment or something.
She's way too accepting of this, by the way. Like, he's in severe pain. And she's just like, okay, I guess.
Yeah, and she's like, you're sure the doctor's cool with this? Is like, oh, yeah, it's totally fine. She's like, okay, cool. I'm going to go watch my soaps. I'm going to go watch my space soap operas. So after that, let's see here. Oh, yeah, and he mentions that it had happened before, so don't trip. Back in the ready room. Crusher says the Admiral, she tells this to Picard, the Admiral had given her some old medical records.
He says, he gave me medical records that were 2 months old, but he said they were 2 days old.
Yeah.
And she doesn't understand why there would be a discrepancy. She immediately is like, he must have lied. And Picard just like sort of plays it off and is like, well, he's 85. You forget stuff. Mm-hmm. Maybe he thought
he's got an ego, probably.
Maybe he grabbed the wrong records. Who knows?
Yeah, like show him some way. Picard's favorite game is play down his senior staff.
Yeah,
and their concerns, and he's playing that full on here, and he gets super condescending with it too, because he's like, I think at this point he's Picard's a bit condescending, but then he like realizes that he's being condescending, and because she's like, just trying to fucking contribute here.
Yeah.
So she has that look on her face, and he's like, you know what, Crusher? I need you on the bridge because you're so fucking valuable, aren't you? And he says it in the most condescending manner. He just like coddles her. He's like, in case anything happens, I need you on the bridge. And she's like, oh, really?
The scene essentially is he looks at her and says, why don't you go do something useful? And she's understandably hurt. And then he just literally peels off a gold star and pushes it on her lapel. Like, you're great. Shoot.
He's like, he has like, and I think on his desk in this scene, he has like 5 pads.
Yeah.
And so he's like just sorting through. He's like, and she's just yapping away. He's like, I don't know. He's old. Why are you here? And then she's like, oh. He's like, okay. Look, I really need you on that bridge. Anyways. Back on the bridge, Picard then asks the Admiral if he'd like to take the helm. Would you like to take the con? And then the Admiral's like, I thought you'd never ask. And he opens up his wheelchair and he gets up and he's all moseying about to the con. And everybody's like, Riker gets up. There's a shot where it's like sort of behind the Admiral and he's walking like down the little ramp thing on the side of the bridge. And Riker pops up into frame like somebody's being murdered. He's like, like every reaction is just so much from him in this episode. Oh my God. So he goes and sits down at Geordi's helm, and then like, he starts saying something like, I have been so looking forward to this day when I can roam around and command my own ship. And he starts like tapping in coordinates, and Picard's like, Admiral, you know this is only temporary, right? And he's like, yeah, Captain, I'm having a good time. Picard's like, oh, okay, great. Like, Picard's just kind of a dick in this episode.
I mean, I got to nerd out for a second, though. It's kind of silly to think that, like, an 85-year-old Admiral can just cold sit down at the con panel of a Galaxy-class starship, one of 2 brand-new Galaxy-class starships in the entirety of Starfleet, and just be fine with the controls.
Yeah, you gotta figure.
Especially considering, like, I'm pretty sure there's some customizability.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So anybody that's working at the con panel or any panel, just like us on our desktops and computers, have like icons that we go to on a regular basis, stuff like that. Anybody that's working at a panel on a regular basis has their settings or has their interface set up the way they want to. So the fact that he would just sit down there and immediately be able to pilot the ship is pretty stupid.
And on top of that, it's like on Geordi's profile, which might have some sort of visual alterations for his visor.
For his visor.
Yeah. But yeah, and it's like, yeah, he's an 85-year-old admiral. When is the unless he's like literally every time there's an upgrade or update to the computer system on board starships, is he keeping up to date with the basic tasks of?
I mean, I guess the basic tasks or the basic need for navigation can be done a variety of ways. So theoretically, maybe as the guy who's running con gets up, maybe he can switch it to an interface that's akin to like a Constellation class, like the original.
Well, yeah,
from the Enterprise from the original show.
If you want to get
this admiral might be more familiar.
If you want to get really nerdy with it, perhaps everybody who's in Starfleet has their own like designated profile settings.
Yeah.
And so Geordi gets up, maybe it recognizes old man Admiral face.
Yeah.
And is like, oh, okay, and then it like antiquates to like you said, like a Constitution class.
Oh yeah, or like the last time he flew,
yeah,
was at the composition of a spaceship.
It's like Windows 95.
Setting? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess if you want to get nerdy about it, you can do that. It's fun getting nerdy with things.
Steve and Jeff, nerdy with things.
Yeah.
It's our new show.
So let's see here. Okay. Picard, I have here. Picard kind of treats him like a child, but Admiral Jameson says he's been taking some new therapy. So that's the first we hear about that. After the break, Picard and Crusher.
Back in the ready room?
They're back in the ready room. And Crusher then mentions that he has been afflicted with Iverson's disease. And she's like, there is no chance in hell he's walking around. That's not happening. It's Iverson's disease. That doesn't happen.
No cure.
Yeah,
it's a
no cure.
Degenerative disease.
None of it. None of it's happening. None of it. And Picard's like, he seems fine.
Yeah. Picard is so dismissive towards Crusher in this episode. It's really great. It's so condescending and unnecessary.
And then he's like, listen, I want you to really look into it. I mean, don't just look into it. Really look into it.
Just peels on another gold star on the lapel. It's just like, you're doing great. I like you.
It's like, no, you don't get it. Something is amiss here. He could be replaced with some other entity, with some other being. Awesome. Look into it. You're doing great. Let's see here. Jameson is in his room, and he's all about it. He's like, he walks to his wife and says, this new therapy is working. And
at first he's watching the Karnas video again. He's just watching that interaction, trying to like, I guess, glean some details about what Karnas's angle is, what have you, blah, blah, blah. He's sitting in the dark watching that. And his wife walks in and is like, hey, what's going on? Are you okay? And he springs up and he's much more spry. And then he goes and has an interaction with her.
Yeah, and his face conveniently is in the shadows. Yes. As it is much of this episode because there are multiple face reveals.
Yeah.
And so, he springs up. She's like, whoa, look at the spring in your step. And then she's like, looking at his face. She's like, okay, dude, you literally look 20 years younger. Sure enough, he looks in the mirror.
Yeah, she goes to drag him in the mirror, and he's like, I hope you're going to the bedroom. He's ready to... He wants
to...
He's like, you're...
That's essentially what he's doing the entire time. He's just like horning it up.
Super horny.
He's like
because of his new space steroids, his space droids.
Space droids, his space HDH. So anyway, she's like, you look younger, and literally like his hair is darker and he's got less weird cake makeup. And then he has another seizure, and she's like, oh God. And he's like, oh, I'm good. Look at me. I'm great. Look, I'm erect. So after that, and sick, he's like, oh God, so much pain. Quick, touch my penis.
Oh my God. Oh, I still want to do it. Oh, I'm a gross man. Oh,
I'm a gross man. Oh man. Let's see here. Next up, we're in sick bay. Crusher has found something in his bloodstream, but as is per usual with Dr. Crusher, she doesn't know what it is. In his room, oh yeah, Picard comes in, and Jameson, I think, is de-aged a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has. And Picard's like, well, this isn't normal. Maybe I should have listened to Crusher in the first place. And then he finally reveals that he got some drugs on Cerberus 2 because he negotiated some big deal for them. Mm-hmm. And then to repay him, they gave him some drugs to help him out. And I think Picard says something like, I thought that was a myth, or I don't think you're like, nobody's ever done that before. He's like, yeah, they don't usually let humans do that, but they did to me because they like me a lot. And then he's like, I've been taking him on a normal dosage. And then he's like, but I got so excited about this hostage negotiation.
Excited about the hostage negotiation on this planet, specifically this one thing that he did 45 years ago, coming and righting this wrong, as you said, that he, instead of doing the incremental dose, just dosed the entire thing.
He went,
but also was like, and to his wife, I got enough for both of us.
Yeah.
But I wanted to test the drugs on me first because I can't lose you. And she's like, dude, what the fuck? Like, I don't want you to die. Why don't you at least tell me? Like, it is a shitty thing to do.
Yeah. So you
but then on top of that, he's like, I kind of took your dose too. Sorry.
Yeah.
I really wanted to be better for this thing. So
we'll just, maybe we can get you some plastic surgery.
Be super hot and young now.
Yeah. We'll get you on some meds that'll, kick up your sex drive, I guess. I don't know. Well, can we dye your hair? Can we make this look better? Because I'm about to be like 20. So anyways, Picard is just pissed off the entire time. He talks shit. Then he says, I'm going to be on the bridge if you want to talk more with me about this. And then the wife yells at Jameson. That's when he talks all about that stuff. And then he gets kind of rapey. And he's like, he offers her, he's like, oh, you can have drug too. And then he storms off because she's like, I don't want to do it right now. Maybe ever.
Well, he already said that he took the whole dose, though, right?
Well, so I don't know. I was sort of confused because he's like, I took both doses,
yeah.
Which I took to meant his and hers.
Yeah.
But then I thought that, I mean, according to my notes anyways, I thought then he was still offering it to her also.
Huh.
So maybe he just meant that he took like the entirety of his doses that was set for him.
Yeah.
But then maybe he still had some for her. But I don't know. I could be wrong about that. In any event, he took a lot. And she was like,
all at once too, like
all at
totally
once.
Abandoned the actually incremental nature of the dosages.
And I think even regardless if he had some more, she was anti because she was like, "You're a mess. You're in pain all the time. You keep on having these seizures."
Yeah,
and
also it's very unnatural.
Yeah, it's very unnatural.
It's fucked up.
And moreover, like he didn't consult her about any of it.
No,
that was the bigger thing. It's like, look,
it's a shitty thing to do as a partner.
We're growing old together. And I would have liked to have been part of this huge decision to stop doing that, you know?
Yeah.
So anyways, then we're in the conference room, and he is in the dark. The shadows are expertly placed over his face, and he contacts Data on the bridge. He's like, hey, I need you to link me through to Karnas. And then Data's like, okay. And Picard's like, hold on a second. Then he sort of gets into it with Jameson. And then, let's see here. It's revealed that Karnas hasn't forgiven Jameson for some shit. Oh, yeah, he puts him through to Karnas. And so Karnas and Jameson have a talk. And then it's sort of revealed that that Karnas hasn't forgiven Jameson for some stuff that went down 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And Karnas is actually behind the kidnapping of these hostages, and that he'll kill them if Jameson doesn't come down and negotiate. Jameson goes to the bridge. He kind of tries to big dog Picard. He gets in Picard's chair, in the captain's chair, and explains Karnas's planet. He thinks that the hostages are underground in this like tunnel system that was there 45 years ago. Mm-hmm. So he's sort of getting a plan in motion in terms of what he's going to do.
But he's also weirdly focused on regressing to that time period. Like it clearly was, like you say, he wants to right a wrong. But I think I was also sort of right on the head too. Like he looks back on that time period with some degree of nostalgia.
He was active. He was in the mix.
And he wants to do that again. Like he wants to go back and relive that in some manner.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he's totally into the moment here. Back in sickbay, Crusher and Troy are talking to Jameson's wife, Anne. She's sad. She's like, I can't believe that he did that. And Troy is kind of defending his point of view. And then Troy says to Crusher, she's like, Doctor, she has to know. You couldn't have discussed this with Crusher like in private.
Yeah.
Come to a mutual decision and then proceed. Like, she put Crusher on the spot.
Totally.
Doctor, you got to tell her what you told me earlier. We know secrets.
It's a total dick move.
Yeah, it is. And Crusher tells Jameson's wife, sadly, that Jameson isn't stabilizing and his body is not in a good state.
By the way, just medically at that point, there's no reason for Jameson to continue on in this episode. Like,
yeah.
Crusher has the authority as a head doctor to be like, no, I don't know what's happened to his body. He should not be in command in any fashion.
Right, exactly.
The drugs that he took were not sanctioned, or like, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what's going on with his body. He's literally de-aging. I don't know what his mental capacity is. Like, I have no idea what's happening. Why is he still running this mission? It's inappropriate.
And there's nobody at Starfleet that wouldn't be in agreement with that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you can talk to the head of Starfleet and be like, okay, here, I'm going to show you some pictures. I'm going to tell you what he told me. I'm pretty sure we're in the right. We're going to take him. We're going to relieve him of duty, right?
Should he be in charge of lives and one of the best spaceships, like the fucking the cornerstone of the fleet of Starfleet? Should he be running our ship?
No.
Is that appropriate?
Not at all. Not at all. Take him out.
Just for a couple hostages? Like, seriously.
Yeah, I know. And these hostages are like, so wait, the one thing I didn't get is like, Karnas was like, I'm going to take these hostages and I'm going to kill them if I don't get Jameson. What if the Enterprise is left? What if they're like, no, and then they leave? He's going to kill them for no reason.
That's the other thing, too, is like once Jameson admits, I mean, does he come out and say like Karnas is behind all this?
I think he did, yeah.
He does, right? At that point, even Picard should step in and say Karnas is the one that took the hostages. Yeah. He's a straight up terrorist.
Yeah.
So we just need to go in guns blazing on Karnas and lock out that fool because he's running this whole situation, and fuck that guy.
Karnas and his old men security staff.
Yeah.
That shit cracked me up. So anyways, Picard walks into the conference room. Jameson is sipping on some drink. And he looks around 35 or so, maybe 30.
Early 30s.
Yeah. So him and Picard talk. Jameson, at that point, Jameson reveals a fairly shocking truth. Back then, 45 years ago, he gave Karnas, and this is not on the record, in exchange for, or I guess as part of what he negotiated was, so Karnas wanted revenge on the other faction on the planet, I guess, for them sending an assassin to kill his dad.
That's right.
And so Jameson said, Karnas wanted weapons to get back at his rivals, so I gave them to him, and I gave them to his rivals. And he said that was my way of justifying the Prime Directive, is that I got involved, but I made sure everybody was equal, which is like a shocking disregard of the Prime Directive.
Sure.
Pretty much in any normal line of thought.
Totally.
Picard is beside himself. And he said, dude, it resulted in 45 years of civil war. And Jameson realizes this. And even Picard says, you might have given them the weapons, but it's not all on you. Like, they still use them.
Yeah.
I mean, he's trying to, ease his conscience a little bit. He says, I saved 20 people.
Is that like saying, like, okay, if you go in, you're going into... What if you go into a warehouse that's filled with 40 guys and it's two factions of 20?
Yeah.
And they have hammers and billy clubs.
Yeah.
And they are intent on just murdering each other.
Yeah.
And you are like, hey, guys, here's 40 guns.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Whereas the worst they could have done before was just like...
Maybe just beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
Possibly beat some of each other to death.
Yeah.
But you just give them a much more technologically advanced weaponry. to fuel their rage.
It's a fairly savage civilization. Yeah. It's kind of your fault. Yeah. But Picard's big on personal responsibility, though.
I just feel like if you were following the Prime Directive, though, you wouldn't intercede at all. But also wouldn't intercede by providing technology that they don't have access to.
No, it's a like, horrible violation.
Best, if you were really going to fuck with that society, you would infiltrate it and be like, "Hey guys, let's talk about mediation."
Yeah. I feel like
let's look at our similarities instead of our differences.
I think Jameson just had a headache that day. He was like, "You guys won't stop yelling at each other. Fuck it. Here's guns. Here's guns. Just do it. I don't care. Just do it."
He's just like, "Oh, you know what would be entertaining for me is just to watch you guys phase each other to death. I want to do that."
He's like, "I want to put some of those fancy space cameras that are just everywhere. I'm going to put them down there and just watch." It's like when you're in spectator mode in GTA 5. I'm just going to watch these guys go at it. But I mean, imagine like, Picard, you know how you are sometimes when like, if you have a friend who's like, "Oh God, I'm such a loser. I've done so many bad things." You're like, you know that they're right, but you're like, "Oh,
no, come on, you're not that bad. No, you're great. You're so cool.
You just had some bad breaks.
Everybody hits a rough patch, buddy.
Yeah, you've had some bad breaks.
You're doing so much better.
Yeah.
Don't concentrate on that. Just, you got to let it go. You got to charge forward.
We don't know what we're doing. We're drunk.
Yeah.
So that's what he was maybe doing. He's like, "Yeah, no, I get it, but God, this guy's just beating himself up."
You think Jameson was drunk when he beamed all those weapons down?
Well, if that conference room scene is to be believed, the guy likes to drink.
Yeah.
And he's a bit forceful when it comes to his, lower desires as well, with his trying to get on his wife.
Going to the bedroom.
I hope you're going to the bedroom.
Just grunting and humping the air in front of him.
Oh man! So because he said this, he said 63 people were safe, but millions were dead from civil war. And Picard's like, "Yeah, it's not all your fault, right?"
Oh, kinda is.
It probably is, Picard. I wonder. I'm gonna go to the bedroom now. Anyways, Jameson wants to do it right this time. He's not gonna cut any deals. In the transporter room, Picard decides to accompany the mission. Riker immediately has a look of panic on his face because now he's in control of the Enterprise. He's like, "Our responsibility." So they beam down to the tunnels that Jameson had said he believes those hostages are being held in because that's what he did last time.
Yep.
Jameson seems to be pretty confident where he is.
Jameson is super confident on his understanding of the map of the tunnels.
Yeah, but the android, who is always right about everything because he's an android, is looking at his tricorders like, "Nope."
Data has up-to-date schematics of the tunnels, of the layout of the tunnels.
He's like, "Nothing of what you're saying is true." So.
And Jameson's like, no, I got this. I was here 45 years ago. I know where I am. And Data goes up to Picard and is like, "Hey, I have a map updated like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about." And Picard's like, let's see what happens. What are you? Why? What are you doing in this episode, Picard?
He's like, "Listen, I'll probably get to lecture somebody later. I'm really looking forward to that because he has a hell of a lecture later on."
He's an admiral. I'm not in charge right now.
It's very nice.
It's autopilot Picard right now.
I'm phoning this one in.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. Anyways, so yeah, they hit a dead end like Data said they would. But then Jameson's like, "Right here, there's a tunnel behind this wall." And Geordi looks at it with his visor and says, "Oh, yeah, it's metalplast or metalast or some..."
It's some material that they never mention again.
Some shit that you can find at Lowe's, apparently, in the 2400s. So anyways, they shoot through it. And then when they do, they realize that it's kind of a trap because there's all these dudes waiting with all these guns that are all geeked out to like murder. And then
Karnas's lackey, just ready to shoot, just horny for a gun battle.
Right.
I will say this is one of my other favorite parts of this. So they get it. They do the gun battle then, right?
That's when the gun battle happens.
That's a fun sequence.
Yeah, it is.
It's a fun action
sequence.
Yeah,
it's a good action sequence. So let's see here. A firefight ensues. Jameson, he tries to get into it. But then he collapses from the pain. They're
he
like,
gets another attack.
Yeah, they're like, oh, did he get shot? And they're like, no, he's just freaking out. So then Picard has them all get beamed up. Then Picard tells Riker that Jameson is not well. Karnas calls and says, you have 10 minutes to beam him down. Picard then goes to sickbay. Jameson's just in a heap. He's
a sweaty mess already. Yeah,
Crusher's like he's a mess. He's not good.
He looks like if I ever tried to be a professional actor and had to go on an audition.
Oh yeah,
that's what I would look like. I have so many friends who are professional actors.
Oh god,
and I consistently look at them with just unabashed admiration because I'm like, I could not.
Oh my god, yeah,
it's horrifying.
Nightmare. You walk in, there's just like a ton, like 50 other people who look just like you,
yeah,
but better.
Oh,
like better resumes.
Oh, so much better.
Yeah.
Ugh.
That's a nightmare. Anyways, so yeah, he's a mess, dude. He's like me. He's
just
after I had like the
flop sweat.
The one time I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna try Five Guys. That was me like 30 minutes after my burger.
I've never had Five Guys. Apparently, I never will.
No, here's the thing.
Did I not do it?
It's so delicious.
I hear it's good.
It's way too much.
Well, what did you get?
Oh,
do you have an option to just get like a single cheeseburger, or get like a kid's cheeseburger?
I don't know.
They're really reasonable.
A double cheeseburger and fries, and it's so good.
Yeah.
You just don't understand what you're doing in the time at the moment. Just making bad decisions right there. But it's so good, and like Star Trek's on the TV. It's like, why would I ever not do this? And then like 30 minutes, you're like, oh, that's why. Oh, God, that's why.
I don't feel good about anything right now.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's really bad. Try to eat a lot of veggies these days. And Stouffer's meals, as you can see.
Why do you?
Because it's like $1.80. I just pick them up, and I'm like, oh, it's really easy.
Just get a bag of celery. It's healthy for
you. The fuck? Man. Maybe one day. I keep telling myself, I got to start yoga, dude. Oh, man. Anyways, bag of celery. Let's see here.
I eat a lot of celery these days. It's great.
That's good. I'm glad. I need to do that.
Celery and peanut butter, man. It's great. You know what else? I just had this when I was at my parents' house earlier. You get some nice, good quality turkey lunch meat, some pickles, some like reduced fat cheese slices.
Oh yeah.
A little bit of mustard.
All right.
You do a little turkey roll up.
Yeah. Why would I do that when I have a Salisbury steak meal?
Oh, that's just
with mashed potato
product. Already enough. Like I'm saying, like I'm giving you good sodium. Yes. You know, turkey lunch meat is full of sodium.
Yeah.
You're getting salt.
Right.
But there's no like uber process. I mean, that is processed meat. So
how
it's
much?
Not great for you.
How many grams of shame is there in that? Because I've got all the shame value in that.
Boy.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's not even good. It's disgusting. It doesn't taste good.
I can't remember the last time I had a TV dinner.
$1.80. Trying to save my money. Anyways, moving on. Where am I? Oh, yeah. I'm in a pit of shame because of Jeff. Let's see here. Where are we? Oh, yeah. Jameson wants to go down, but he's a fucking mess. And Crusher's like, don't do that. And Picard's like, he's an admiral.
Picard, this entire episode is just like,
he's an admiral.
He can do what he wants.
So
I'm not really.
He's like, Riker, prepare to beam us all back down to Karnas's office. And I'm like, how are they even going to get? Are they going to walk him to the transporter room? Are they going to do a site to site?
Yeah.
If they can do site to site, why do they even have a transporter room? That never makes sense to me.
Most of this episode is like, why is this happening?
Exactly. This has kind of gone from like soft skippable to hard skippable.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Anyways, they go down there, and it's just there's a lot of talking going on. Like, it's 15 minutes of Karnas not believing that Jameson is actually Jameson.
And then the reveal is just Picard pulls out an iPad, or pulls out a pad, which is what they call the handheld computer.
Yeah.
It's a pad. And is like, look, you talk to him, right? That's Jameson. But look at this, and switch just to another still photo. That could just literally be another person. Yeah. What's telling Karnas that's not another person?
Right.
He switches that picture and is like, that's Jameson too.
Right.
And then and look, now he is in front of you. That's the man you remember from 45 years ago. And Karnas is like, yeah, you're right.
No, he barely believes him then. Edison's like, no, this is all still tricks.
Oh,
and then Jameson gets up, and he's just a mess. He's so sweaty, and he's like, it was just you and me in that room. You didn't believe your lieutenants. But oh god, this hurts so bad. Oh god, my cramps. I'm gonna poop my pants.
He had 5 guys.
Yeah, I had some 5 guys earlier. And then he's like, really? Well, show me the scar. And he's like, we did a blood oath, and it's like right here, like the one place you don't want it to be. And I'm like, even that you can fabricate. Like all this stuff you can fabricate.
Well, he says it was just you, me in the room. So
okay, yeah.
But it's not. To your point, I think it's not like in the intervening 45 years, somebody could have easily noticed. Hey, Jameson, why do you have a scar right on your wrist? You try to cut yourself? What are you? Well, you a cutter? You try to kill yourself? What happened? And the story went into, oh no, that was a blood oath that I had with Karnas.
Well, it could also be. Here's the thing: like if he says, well, no, Karnas or Jameson told you all that stuff, and you're tricking me. Jameson also could have told you about this,
the scar,
and you could have just fabricated that as well.
Totally.
But whatever, that was the big reveal. Again, kind of lame, and but we needed to get there somehow. So yeah, where are we? Oh, and then the wife beams down, and Picard.
I think pressure is like, you want to get your wife down here.
Yeah, that's right. She's like
she knows Jameson's about to kick the.
He's
butt.
about to die. His organs are like rejecting the youth drugs.
Just everything is liquefying inside him.
And she said his organs are imploding.
Ooh,
that's
horrifying. That's like David Cronenberg shit right there.
It is.
Like he's about to explode in a mass of tumors, like Videodrome or something.
Right. So Picard tells Karnas, you got to deal with me now, Karnas. And then he puts it back on him, says, you could have tried negotiation, but you didn't. You had these weapons, and yet you still, Oh, and then, then Jameson showed him the scar. There's a lot of talking here. Then he references, like, I wanted you to see everything, Jameson. I wanted you to see the wounds on the old soldiers that have been in war for 40 years. And it's like 3 older yokels in uniform just standing there like.
Yeah.
Like they really didn't. They looked like 3 like tenured high school teachers, It's like there's the shop teacher, there's the English teacher.
There's the driver's ed teacher.
Exactly. And so then Karnas jumps up and is like, all right, I believe it's you. I'm going to kill you with your own gun. And he pulls off a gun off his wall. And then he points it at him. And then then the soldiers, it cuts back to the soldiers. They kind of freak out. They're like, oh, violence. And then he's like, oh, no, I'm not going to do it because I'm going to watch you. You're in pain right now. So it's good enough for me. I'm like, all this, really? All this just for that? And so then his wife is down with him and he's dying. And he says something like, Annie with the golden hair. And she says, yeah, but it's gray now. And he looks at her and says, I only see the gold.
It's very sweet.
And then he dies. And I was like, what a terrible episode, but what a wonderful moment.
That's
that was a great line. I only see the gold.
Clayton Rohner and the woman that played his wife.
Yeah, they were really good.
That is a great interaction.
Yeah, that was really nice. I was like, I could just watch that 10 seconds and be very satisfied with that scene, regardless of backstory. Unfortunately, the backstory was really weird. No,
I feel like the more appropriate title for the episode is just Karnas is bad at revenge.
Because here's the thing, then Karnas pays tribute to him. He's like, oh, the fallen soldier and mighty in battle and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
yeah, you've hated this man for the past 45 years so much so that you finally had the opportunity to kill him.
Yeah.
Actually, in sort of ostensibly a merciful way, and you chose to make him die a more painful death.
His guts imploded.
He just died in front of his wife.
Yeah.
And had a very tender moment.
Yeah.
As his insides liquefied.
Yeah. And
instantly you're like, that guy was actually kind of cool.
All right.
What the fuck, dude? What page are you on?
Pick a fucking side, man. If you're going to do something, go all the way. And then he's like, I'll release all the hostages, Picard. I'll cooperate fully now. Picard should have been like, okay, well, fucking beam him to the brig. We're going to go put him on trial for crimes against humanity or whatever,
Karnas instantly is just like, man, that Jameson was kind of cool, right? You guys, I've been kind of a dick, haven't I? I'm sorry.
This whole world comes crashing down.
He just walks up to the 3 high school teachers like, hey, Phil, I'm really sorry. Jim, you too. Fred, I'm sorry I kicked your wife in the ass.
No,
you were wrong on that page, Karnas.
He's like,
why'd you kick my wife? Jerk. All right, Fred, don't get a big head.
He's like, wow, it's better when I did the other 2 because their wives are now my wives. Oh, I've got 3. Anyways, so yeah, and then they just leave. That's it. I forget if there's any sort of denouement there.
Some sort of stinger?
Maybe.
Were they back on the ship or something? I don't know. It's pretty skippable. I would
better left forgotten.
Maybe just watch just one of the guys.
Well, there's some boobs in that one.
Yeah,
there's some naked boobs in that one.
I like them.
If you like that thing, we got a package here. We got some from the wonderful people at Draft House Games.
Cool.
And we're gonna see what this is. I think it said. Wait, did this say 4 Lights Podcast?
Uh-oh.
Maybe this is for Going in Raw. I don't know what this is.
I can pretend to be Larson.
Oh, this is. Okay, yeah. They had told me about this. Okay, cool. Right on.
Oh, you knew what it was before you opened it?
Well, this took forever to get here.
Really?
And so they were asking me about it, and I was like, I don't know where it is. And then it finally showed up.
And you lost in shipping or something?
And because they sent us a bunch of stuff. And I was like, well, what is it? Because maybe we opened it and we just, we didn't notice. And so they told me what it was. So I'm very excited. This is Star Trek: The Next Generation interactive VCR.
What?
Interactive VCR board game.
That's some vintage awesomeness right there.
That is
Look at
great.
That.
That is awesome.
That is very cool.
What I'd love to do with this maybe is I have a VCR at home.
Do you?
And maybe I can digitize the video, and then
This has never even been opened. Like, it's wrapped in plastic, but it's still wrapped in the original factory.
We can do some sort of reaction video to it, or even maybe play the game and make a video out of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that looks great. Look, there's like an enterprise board game aspect to it.
This looks really cool. Yeah, check out this board game.
That is really cool.
You guys probably can't see that. It's right here. It looks very cool.
And it's subtitled A Klingon Challenge.
I like Klingons.
Yeah, man.
Wow, this is great. Thank you so much.
So thanks again from Draft House Games. That is really fantastic. I'll post a link to their YouTube channel in the description of this episode. Thank you very much. I can't wait to get my hands on it. Look, there's a Klingon on he hijacks the Enterprise.
Isn't that Duras?
Look at that. Look at the starship.
Oh, that's Starbase 74.
Yeah, Starbase 74. It says right there for repairs. Yeah, is that Duras?
Might be. Him, right?
Oh, yeah, it's Duras.
Yeah.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, thank you very much for that. We really appreciate it. We'll be back next week for another episode of The 4 Lights. Thanks for joining us. Till next time, we'll talk to you guys later.